You talked to him once in 70 days.
That's correct.
This is not an American battle. This is a NATO mission as well, and we are working actively and diligently to consult with NATO at every step of the way.
Who's NATO? We are. We and the Brits are NATO. It's a NATO mission. We got to do what we can out there to succeed in dismantling, disrupting, destroying the Al-Qaeda network. It's not our battle. Therefore, what this means is when we lose, it's not his fault. It's NATO's.
All right, all the hot-button issues facing the Obama administration will be put on hold tomorrow when the president heads to Copenhagen, Denmark, where he will meet with officials from the International Olympic Committee. Now, he's hoping this last-minute trip will help win support for the Chicago Olympics in 2016. But with the Iranian nuclear crisis, the war in Afghanistan, the debate over health care reform raging in Washington. So why is the president so concerned about bringing the Olympics to his hometown? Well, my next guest has done some excellent reporting that could help explain the president's interest in this matter, and I believe she calls it, quote, political payback. And I'm joined now by the author of Culture of Corruption, Obama and his team of tax cheats, crooks, and cronies. Michelle Malkin is back with us. Michelle, welcome back.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, now, we got to put this in context. Not only health care, not only Afghanistan, not only, the economy. He didn't even have time to talk to his general that sent him an August and late memo saying that we're risking failure in Afghanistan. He didn't have time for that, but he has time for this. So I think that's an important point to make as we start this discussion.
I think that is very important, Sean, the context, and it tells you something about the warped priorities of this president and this administration. They are always in perpetual campaign mode. They prefer being on the campaign trail, stumping for whatever initiative, stumping for political purposes, and in this case, as you say, political payback. That's what I call it. I think it's very clear and transparent and obvious that this is all about paying back the Daley machine. Richard M. Daley, the son of the famous boss of Chicago.
Michelle, I want to... Can you connect the dots? I've read your article 3 times just to make sure that I understood it fully and completely. And you connect a lot of dots here, and I want to do it step by step so that the audience can understand this here. Because, first of all, he's going to Copenhagen, he's doing this. We know the connection with Daley to the president, to Axelrod, to Valerie Jarrett. Why don't you tie it together as you did in your article so people can understand it?
Well, this is all about the president's Chicago cronies. That's what this Olympic push is all about. And it starts with Richard M. Daley, the mayor of Chicago. He's been there since 1989. He would like to see this $5 billion party cap off his long, grand tenure. And it's a great way to whitewash all of the city's ills in the Windy City and in Illinois, for that matter. This tenure has been marked by graft, pay-for-play scandals, deteriorating public housing, schools that are a mess, and as you've pointed out and I've pointed out, Sean, a teen violence epidemic that is unabated, that has not been helped by all these community organizers, et cetera, et cetera. And so Richard M. Daley has been pushing the 2016 bid for the Summer Olympics. It's been his quote-unquote vision, and he, along with all the cronies that have been installed in the White House, have made this their
Michelle,
pet cause.
I want to get more specific, because there's a really deep connection to Valerie Jarrett. Jarrett once worked for Mayor Daley. Jarrett then hired Michelle Obama before she was married to President Obama. And Jarrett went on to serve as the president, you point this out in the article, and CEO of the Habitat Company, a real estate firm with a stake in these, public-private housing project partnerships that existed at the time, and more specifically, this one place, Grove Park Plaza Apartments. Take it from there. Explain how that relationship goes further.
Yes, and let me just explain about how deeply embedded Valerie Jarrett is with both the Daley machine and the Obamas. She worked not only as the deputy chief of staff for Richard Daley, but also as his legal counsel and as a city planning commissioner for him during his tenure. She hired Michelle Obama as a mayoral assistant, and of course, as we've talked about, Sean, they went on to work together at the University of Chicago Medical Center, and Michelle Obama and Barack Obama have depended and relied on Valerie Jarrett as their fixer, as their money shaker, as their influence peddler, and as their consigliere.
For the constraints of time that we have, Jarrett then, after working for the mayor, went on to work as the CEO for this Habitat company, a real estate firm with a massive stake in these federally subsidized Chicago housing projects. One of them was the Grove Park apartment complex, Plaza Apartments, correct? Now, it was there.
That's right.
They were run into the ground on her watch. Pick it up from there.
Yes, and federal inspectors graded this complex at the bottom of the barrel in terms of quality. And the Boston Globe did a wonderful and unheralded investigation last year talking about the suffering of the tenants there. It was run into the ground under her tenure. She refuses to talk about it. She hides behind all sorts of some pose of confidentiality about what happened there. And it is a larger symbol and symptom of how public housing has completely gone to hell there.
Do you know how much money she made?
And unfortunately, well, let me just say that it's...
Go ahead.
It sits in the shadow of where the Olympic Stadium would be built, and that's not a coincidence.
All right, so this is my question. Do you know specifically how much money she made as a result of being with that real estate firm at that time, which had connections to the Daley administration, which had these public-private partnerships that she benefited from? This apartment complex goes into the ground, one of the worst ratings you can have, now may become the housing for the Olympics, which they're talking about billions of dollars. The White House is claiming she wouldn't benefit financially at all from this. But are you saying her old company would, and that they're using her connections? Is that your point?
Yes, and look, there's no question that property values would rise and all of these developers would benefit from that. That's why they're lobbying so hard to bring it there in the first place. And even if she tells us that she has divested all of her properties, except for one apparently, which I don't know if it's been named yet, but the lack of transparency and disclosure here, and also the self-dealing is what we have to talk about. This administration said it was going to be the strictest when it came to banning lobbying by its own officials, and yet they granted a waiver for her, and now she's going to the Federal Housing and Urban Development Department to try and drum up funds for the Olympic Village.
All right, so she's close to the Obama.
That's taxes that that's taxes that you and I will pay.
She works for Daley. She works for this real estate company, the public-private partnerships. It's run into the ground. I want to make sure I have the chronology correct here. She serves as the host of the bid to get the 2016 bid to get the Olympics there. This old company that she used to work for may benefit, and this is what I want to get into specifically, financially because of the decline of these housing units. So they're going to demolish these. They would then make money, and we have Robert Gibbs telling us there's a tangible economic benefit for the taxpayer. Do I have this right?
That's right, and all you have to do is look at how these economic development boondoggles have worked in other cities. They will use eminent domain to clear all of this land, push poor people out, and build these sports palaces that will be empty after the Olympics. That's how it always works.
So a lobbyist got into the White House and appears to be somewhat successful. We were promised no lobbyists.
And she's just one of many.
All right, it's a fascinating connection story. We're going to continue to follow your reporting on it, Michelle. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Sean.